Thank you very much for that warm welcome. I'm not sure whether we say namaste in Kerala or what is the greeting, but namaste, so I'll greet you namaste. In Trinidad and Tobago, we actually say sitaram. So, but it is surely a pleasure being here today. And I firstly want to thank Jain University for giving us Trinidad and Tobago the presence here to address this very important topic. So firstly, let me pay homage to our minister who delivered an excellent speech. So I've heard, because I don't speak the language, but I can definitely see the passion. To the executive members of Jain University here, and of course to all of you students. The future. When I was a little boy, I've always wondered what the future looked like. Most of us would, right? So we would imagine the future to be one where you had flying cars, and your housekeeper was a robot, and that you had jackets that would automatically dry when you put it on. That is what you imagine the future to be. And this is me, small, growing up. When I entered into high school, I had all these wild imaginations about the future and what the future would hold. And then my science teacher reminded me that the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. It is a quote by Malcolm X. So my science teacher, every time he see me not doing as much as I should do, reminded me this quote by Malcolm X. The future belongs to those who prepare for it today. As we reflect and we debate on the future of sustainability, on the future of our planet, on the future of generations to come, that future is dependent upon what we do today. And it is a very critical concept for us to understand. Because while some of us may believe in the ideas of predestination and that it is already written as to what the future is, we must not forget our responsibility in creating the future brick by brick as to what it would be. Needless to say, we all know the crisis that our world faces today. In fact, data from the United Nations show that over $1 trillion of food is wasted every year. Over $1 trillion of food wastage per year. It is mind-boggling to believe that such data could exist, knowing that certain countries not too far from India, with a 64% population that lives below the poverty line. Over 64%. Yet we face a food wastage of over $1 trillion per year. In fact, when we look at greenhouse gas emissions, just for 2024 alone, it is measured at almost 41 billion metric tons. Our planet is in crisis. We have just seen where certain governments, newly installed presidents, withdrew from the Paris Climate Accord. And for those of us around the world who are conscious of the direction our planet is going, we are in a position where we would wonder, what do we do and what is next? But all is not lost. And there is good news. The good news is that countries such as India and France in 2015 embarked on a particular project. It was the launch of the International Solar Alliance. It was to ensure that nations around the globe held on to a deeper consciousness, a deeper awareness as to where this planet is going and what countries can do about it. Between the year 2015 to 2025, where we are now, at least 120 countries signed up to join India and to join France in this International Solar Alliance. I'm delighted to say that Trinidad and Tobago is one of those countries that is part of this ISA. But in addition, India itself is now spearheading the digital transformation. In fact, India has done so well to fast-track its digital infrastructure that countries across the globe is now looking at India as the model and the lead in ensuring that we do the same, and in so doing, protect our environment and build a sustainable future. I know for a fact that Trinidad and Tobago has already signed up to the India Stack to engage India in this particular program, because we also, like India, wish to transform our economy into a digital economy, a platform whereby we can use the technology, use artificial intelligence, use new learning to transform our land, just as India is doing today. I might add to that JN University is part of this process. We have already agreed at the level of cabinet for JN University to partner with us, not just simply in the Ministry of Education, but almost in every facet of our life as a country, whether it be in education, whether it be in digital transformation, whether it be in terms of holding conferences like these, to increase that awareness of what we can do for transformation in a digital world. Yes, I'm very proud and happy to be part of this. But we have also seen governments across the globe taking initiatives as well that we can learn from, things that we can do. So like Ireland, as an example, Ireland has mandated its citizens to reduce their carbon emission. And how do they do this? So one example is to ensure that there is a tax on dumping on their landfills. By doing something like this, we have ensured in Ireland that those who manufacture are more aware of what they are dumping, because now there's a financial implication in doing so. But the government went even further. The government is now offering financial support to those companies who are engaged in the circular economy. So it is now encouraging companies to be mindful of their wastage, to be mindful of the environment, and to be mindful of the impact of doing business. So as I said, all is not lost. But this is definitely not the end. It is just the beginning. The reason being, we are all called upon to ensure that we are part of this process. Just recently, I had my former acting prime minister in India, and I was going to JNU to deliver a speech with him. And he asked me, he said, what have I learned in India in my 5 years being here? And I told him, I said, I have been here for 5 years, yes. And my time has come to an end. So, as a footnote, this is my very last public speech in India. This is my last delivery. So what have I learned about India that I could take home? This was his question to me. And I told him, I said that the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam stood out to me. But not just the concept that the world is one family. That was not it. It was what the Upanishads rightly said. It said, to the wise, the world is one family. In other words, if you are not wise, you would not recognize this concept of non-duality. If you are not wise, you will not recognize the concept of the oneness. If you are not wise, you will not recognize the concept of monism. But to the wise, the world is one family. He looked at me and he said, how do you then translate that into ensuring a better world? Into a world where we live in a way that is mindful of Mother Earth and our country. I told him, in India, I have seen the concept of collectivism, meaning that you are your brother's keeper. Every Indian that I have met look at each other and say, Baya or Didi. I am connected to you as family. It is that collective mindset will ensure that whatever we do not do it that will hurt someone else or hurt something else. Versus other countries where we live a life of individuality, where it is just for me, and whatever I do is for my benefit. I have not yet seen that in this great land in Bharat. And I told him that if the Caribbean, Latin America, and North America, as just some examples, could learn this concept that the world is a one family, but to the wise, they will recognize it. To the fools, they will not. So let us all be wise as we go forward. Let us all be wise as we join Jain University in promoting a sustainable future and a sustainable planet. Let us always be wise in ensuring that we do the best for each other and the best for our world. On that note, I say Dhanyavad. Thank you all very much.
As I mentioned earlier, we are in the final stage of signing an MOU, an important collaboration for Jain University, and we hope this marks an auspicious beginning to great things that is to come.